Statewide Chronic Disease Self-Management Program Collaborative Monthly Meeting Call for Thursday, March 6th. Welcome to everybody. We're going to do roll call here in a minute. So, Holly, I just got your email that you're having trouble getting it to work. I don't know why, but we will. The chat feature is working, so if you have comments or questions, let us know. I do want to say hi to the folks that are here in our office with me here at COA. One is Joni Saunders, who is a coordinator that some of you have met and is new for some of you. So she is here in the office. And then the lovely Cheryl, who is the person who is taking all of the notes for us. And Cheryl Wakefield is the person responsible for making us look good on paper and otherwise. So what we want to do today is we have a fairly long agenda, and but I want to start with introducing everybody that's on the call because we do have a couple of new people on the call. So let's start with them if we can. Susan, would you like to reintroduce Ellen?
I would love to reintroduce Ellen. This is Ellen Pilstrom, and she is going to be stepping into my shoes, at least partially, for a while, and, well, when I retire. Yeah. So I'm really excited. I think she's going to bring a lot of expertise to the table.
Great. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, thanks. And Holly Wolf, are you on the call yet?
I am on the call. I'm not, my computer is very, very slowly opening this morning, but I am on the call.
If it's like my computer, it thinks it should be Friday, and so it's operating at half speed. But Holly, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Holly Wolf. I am the new Executive Director for Central Colorado AHEC.
We are glad to have you with us. And Holly Wolf, as opposed to Holly Darby, Holly Wolf is going to be working with Lindsley Blackwelder. And so we're real glad to have you on the call with us, Holly. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's go and see who else is here, if we could. Let's start with who's here from the state?
Hi, it's Connie Young with the State Unit on Aging, Department of Human Services.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Katie, I see you're here.
Yeah, this is Katie Mortensen with Healthcare Policy and Financing from the Quality section.
Welcome back. It's good to have you here. And then I see Kelly McCracken is here too.
Hi, yes. This is Kelly from Public Health, and I think Flora will be joining us soon as well.
Great, wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there she is.
There was a webinar part. I just need to get on there too.
Okay, well, welcome. That's Flora, everybody. And then let's see who else is here. I've got Samantha.
Yeah,
would you like to say hi?
Tri-County Health Department.
Great. And Kaiser, Rebecca?
Yes, hi, it's Rebecca calling from Kaiser.
And from Wells County? Oh, that's right. Holly can't talk. Holly says hi, Holly. So Holly Darby is here from Wells County. Let me see. Do we have, is Tracy here from Clinic of Tepeyac? Anybody on from there? And anyone, is Don James or anyone here from Kit Carson? Brittany or anyone here from Mesa County? And Sue, are you on board? Sue Conry from Mesa County? Okay, Flora, it says you're officially on now. Is there anybody that we have missed that's on the call that we haven't acknowledged?
Lucy Dreyer, Colorado Neurological Institute.
Hi, Lucy.
Good morning.
Melissa Pruitt, Boulder County, Area Agency on Aging.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Melissa. I'm not sure why it's not showing you on our screen here, but welcome.
Well, I'm here. Thank you.
I believe you. I trust you. I recognize that voice. Well, I wanted to, oh, sorry.
This is Crystal Ryder from Secahec.
Hi, Crystal.
Hello.
Anyone else? Okay, well, we have a fun and packed agenda today, so I'm just going to work us through it. The first piece of business is just to talk about some of the regular ongoing update pieces that we do. And I wanted to let you know that in terms of the MOUs, this is the non-financial agreement that you all signed to be a part of the collaborative. The only ones we are missing at this point in going back and forth with Lindsay Blackwelder is, I know Tri-County still has theirs in progress. Sorry about the typo there, Tri-County. And Wells County has theirs in progress. Everyone else, we have the MOU in place with the collaborative, which is one of the pieces that is important for them working on at least the grant project with Connie Young at the state unit. So just another little reminder that you want to send your classes to be listed to not only Lindsay Blackwelder, so she can show that you have a way to reach the numbers for the grant, but you want to make sure and send them to us here at COA so we can get them posted on the website. And in order to put them on the website, we need to have the exact start date, the exact start time, and the class location. So for example, you can't just say we're going to start a class in April. We need to know where and when in order to put it on the website. And I want to take just a second. Now you get to watch me flip through my screen. Sorry about that, but I want to show you our website because there's a couple of little updates. So in a second, when it changes place, hopefully you're going to be able to see the Self-Management Colorado website. And for some of you, this is going to be a review. For some of you, this will be new. Are you all seeing that, hopefully?
Yes.
Yay, okay. This is our and Holly says yes. Good, thanks, Holly. This is our Self-Management Colorado website. It is run off of COA's platform, but it is a separate website where not just, where everyone's classes are listed that's a member of the collaborative. And I just wanted to show you this because there are a couple of new things. You know that this little map here shows where all of the classes are, and as you roll over this, and it may be a little too slow, it will tell you where the class location is. So this one says Aspen Mine Center. This one is going to be the CMCC office. So you can kind of get an idea of what part of things there are. You can also view the schedule from here. And if you want to have a class and you don't see one in your area, you can click here. It'll send us an email. What I wanted to show you also, this is the class listings we're talking about. And we have them here by the official Stanford title. We all use very different names for the classes we do. So within this website, what happens is these are all the listings for all of the chronic disease program classes clear across the state. They are in alphabetical order. So if, for example, you want to go to Holly, Colorado, since we have two Hollies on the call, and you hit details, you will see that this happens to be a Healthier Living Colorado class. That's what the class is called here. As opposed to, if you go to this class in Pueblo and click on it, you will see that the class is called Living Life Well with Chronic Conditions. But it gives you all of the information and the contact data. So the other thing I wanted to show you is on this home page, there's some click-throughs, and we have for providers, questions, classes, and partners. So we are all partners. And on this partner tab now, we have several things available. One is these are the webinars. So this is the required privacy training webinar, And then down here, we're going to have the webinars for all of the monthly meetings. So we have our first one up there, which is our February meeting, and probably later today or tomorrow, we'll get up the March meeting. These are all of the forms that we have. We can add to this. You just need to send it to us. If you think of something that you think we need to have up here, we have our member agreement up here. We have the paperwork that we're all using. We have the leader scripts. We're going to talk a little bit later about some of the changes to the fidelity form, or not the fidelity form, the fidelity policy. And once we get that settled, we'll put a copy of that up here as well. And so we can add to this. And then this is the member list of everyone who is a license holder and partnering agency. So that is new. And I wanted you to know it was there and it was working. So the other pieces I wanted to let you know about is that from this provider section, if you have not had a chance to play on here, this is how providers can refer patients. There's also questions, commonly asked, frequently asked questions, and there's a contact button. And again, this is our website, our collaborative website. So the address is selfmanagementcolorado, all one word, .org. Okay. Any questions on any of that stuff before we go back to the agenda? Alrighty then. And it sounds like a couple of people joined us. Do you want to say hi, whoever joined?
Brittany from Mays County Physician.
Welcome.
And this is Holly Wolf. I actually just switched the phone over from my cell phone and I was able to get onto the webinar. So.
Oh, great. Okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I just wanted to also run through, these are our collaborative dates for 2014. They're in the minutes, and they're also in the webinar. As you all know, we're rotating between Thursday and Friday meetings to try and include as many of our partners as we can. So this is our Thursday meeting. Next time we're on a Friday. So the next item for discussion, and I'm glad that Susan and Holly are both on the phone, even though Holly's going to type us comments, is a discussion and hopefully a decision consensus on a revision to our fidelity policy. As you know, the collaborative, one of the things that we all share is a common approach to fidelity. And we came up with a wonderful fidelity policy, a fidelity training. We revised the fidelity form all in 2013. And one of the things that we want to discuss today is a change to that fidelity policy. This is when this is the way the policy reads now, which is these are the key elements for the collaborative leaders. So we are saying that we're going to do fidelity checks. We want people to adhere to these key elements and that programs are offered as designed. And then there was a list of these. Now, there was a request to clarify this statement at the bottom, led by 2 trained leaders, at least one of whom has a chronic condition. And what we wanted to do was clarify that because, as those of you know who've done a lot of classes, sometimes you can have somebody that has the heart for the work but does not technically have a chronic condition. Other times you can have a leader that you want to train and you train them and they have a chronic condition and on paperwork they are absolutely the perfect leader, but when they start leading classes you realize they're not a good fit. So we wanted to be able to have the leeway in there to not necessarily have to have someone who had a chronic condition. We wanted to have that be a little bit more at the discretion of the license holder. So Susan and Holly and I, and Susan or Holly, I know Holly, I'm sorry, you're going to have to type me what you want me to say. But Susan, we went back and forth a little bit with this, and this is the wording we are suggesting that we change the policy to. Led by 2 trained leaders, preferably with at least one with a chronic condition. And I'm not sure whether we want it to read preferably one of whom has a chronic condition or preferably with at least one with a chronic condition. So it's always great if we can have train someone who either has a chronic condition or has been a caregiver, but we wanted to give some flexibility. And this came up around scholarships and scholarshiping some folks for classes who did not have a chronic condition.
Excuse me, Lindsay, this is, can I pop in for
Oh yeah, I was
a
just
second?
going to read Holly's comment, but go ahead.
Oh, well, I just wanted to say that I did confirm with NCOA that it is recommended but not required that one of the leaders has a chronic condition. So we would not be out of compliance with standard protocol by making this kind of change.
Okay, thanks, Connie. And Stanford is the originator of the program, and where all the license holders have to, that's where we have to make sure we're in alignment as well. And Holly has just put a statement up that she was able to clarify, and Stanford's model says preferred, but it's not required. So we had, I think when we originally wrote this, our intention was to talk about it being key elements as opposed to these are the requirements. So we all know that, for example, the requirement is you've got to have 2 leaders. But what their background is the preferred by. So thank you for that. Anybody else want to weigh in on this at all? Susan, you have anything you want to say?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and if it's,
Okay.
you know, it's along all the guidelines with NCOA and Stanford, I don't see an issue then if we change that wording.
Okay.
Lindsay, this is Lucy. I just wonder about adding that "or" that you put in there, preferably one who has a chronic condition or is a caregiver or care partner of one who has a chronic condition. Is that
okay?
what adding?
So we say that preferably with at least one of whom has a chronic condition or is or has been a caregiver for someone with a chronic condition.
But that caregiver doesn't have a chronic condition.
No.
Right. Right.
So this would...
You know, when I went through the training, that was what was stressed pretty clearly, was that the strong preference was for one or the other. If you were a current, not past, but either a current care partner of someone with, I think the phrase used when I went through the training was live with someone with a chronic condition or have one yourself. Just a thought.
Well, and I know we've expanded that somewhat working with Stanford on, for example, the cancer curriculums and some of the other projects we've done where it can be a current or a past caregiver. It doesn't have to necessarily be a family caregiver. So I think there's a lot of, there's maybe more flexibility there than there used to be.
Okay. I just don't know if you wanted to put in the part about a care partner or not.
We could definitely do that. Holly, Susan, I'm referencing them because they are our fidelity work group. So you guys okay with adding in the chronic conditions? So then Holly's asking, wouldn't they fall in the other leader category if they are a caregiver? She's concerned that if we get too detailed, we might get into trouble.
I agree.
Too specific.
Yeah, maybe it's not needed then. I'd say I'd lean on whatever you guys think is best.
I think wording like this allows us to cover all of our bases, and I tend to agree with Holly. If we get too specific, we're setting ourselves up for trouble.
Any other comments from anyone? Lucy, are you okay if we leave it
Sure.
Without adding the caregiver piece? Okay.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned it when you were talking about it, and I just kind of something with me.
Okay, so what we need to do is, we don't need to do a formal vote, but I'd like to be able to indicate that we have consensus on this. And so if we don't, let me know now. And I don't think this is a huge change. I don't think this is like when we went through the process of approving the fidelity pieces and we sent them out to everyone, and I'm not sure we need to do it that way. But if you all are okay with it, we'll just go ahead and make the change and then put a revised copy on our website for everyone.
Lindsay?
Yes?
Hi, this is Monica. I just joined a few minutes ago. I apologize.
That's okay. Did you want to make a comment about the change in the fidelity policy?
No, I was just trying to, just catching up. But
oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
we're just talking about including the words preferably with to give us a little bit more flexibility in training leaders.
Training leaders. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, cool. Well then, is everybody okay with us moving ahead with this as our new change? If you do not want to speak on the phone, but you're good with it, or you're not good with it, let's do it that way. Anybody who's not good with it, type me a message.
Could we just do a show
forever
of
hold
hands?
your peace. I'm sorry?
I just said, why don't we just do a show of hands? Everybody raise
That's a
their
great idea. I like that.
I'm fine with it. I have my hand up.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we are good to go. We have a new fidelity policy. I know Holly's already working ahead on this, and we'll get it all changed, and it's a beautiful thing, and we will have it on the website for everyone. Yay. Now I'm going to see if I can get my screen to move. How bizarre is that? There we go. So that's what it looks like. Isn't that lovely? Data entry, data submission, item 3 on our agenda. Flora and Kelly, is there anything you need to update us on?
This is Flora. Hi, everyone. I spoke with Lori, who does our entry of the patient information survey and the entire workshop packets, and everything seems to be going pretty well. It seems like she just got more packets since they go back to about January after the holidays, and now that the grant's in place, the year 2 grant's in place. She is not receiving any more consent forms, so that's good because we discontinued that, and it seems like she is getting the data encrypted. So all in all, that's good with the data piece. I'm still working with Southwestern Colorado AHAG to put on the training in April, and I think I mentioned that the last call it is in Cortez, April 7 to 11, and I will send you all information probably by email for the remainder of the seats we have. As I mentioned earlier, we are opening it up to the tribes, the Ute, Mountain Ute, and the Southern Ute first, and then we're going to open it up to everybody else.
Great, thank you.
Did anybody have questions on data collection or entry? And then I am...
Flora?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, this is Monica again. And I have one question. We just got through with 2 DSMP workshops, and it was really strange because we had the participants, they met there for 4 sessions or more. The only thing is the very last one, the 6th session, in both areas, we had a few people that didn't show up for the very last one. And so I wasn't able to get the feedback form from those people, although I did mail it out to them. And I have started getting some back. And so I think that might delay, sending it in. the information into Laura just a little bit. Is that going to be a problem? I didn't know how else to get that information other than by mail, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. My understanding, I don't know, Kelly or anybody else, is that we don't have to collect the feedback form. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I think at one time we did collect feedback form, but then there was a decision that since nothing was kind of happening with that, we made the decision not to collect it anymore. So you're not required to send that in.
Oh, okay.
Can I?
I missed that somewhere. I'm sorry.
Let me ask a question if I could.
Yes.
Monica, are you talking about the feedback form that's the letter to the physician, or are you talking about the feedback that's like a satisfaction survey?
It's the feedback, like the satisfaction survey.
Okay. Okay. Because I know a lot of folks are using the feedback form that's a letter to providers, and that one you want to just hold on to within your agency and then share with whoever's referring. So I just wanted to clarify that. But the satisfaction survey is great to get because it lets you know what's happening, but isn't being collected by Flora and Kelly, right? Right, ladies? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. So don't worry about that then. Okay, then I'll just go ahead and get the other paperwork in.
Yeah,
okay.
and I just wanted to mention, you know, I think the feedback form is wonderful for programs in terms of your own QI, but you know, there wasn't anything happening at any sort of aggregate level with that, so we decided, you know, it makes no sense for us to collect it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's always nice to have a file full of stuff you don't do anything with. That's not helping at all, huh? You probably have enough paperwork without stuff that you don't even need.
We have many of those files, so.
I can relate. I can relate. Well, Flora, anything else you want to share with us?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
I'll be on the call in case anybody else has questions later.
Good.
Yes, and I just wanted to mention, I need to get off the call at 10, but I'll be on until 10.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Kelly. Updates on Year 2 grant, and we have coming up some paperwork changes that Connie's going to talk about, but this was a standing item on our agenda, and I know Lindsay Blackwelder isn't on the call today, but for those of you who arrived late, we have Holly Wolf, who's the new executive director at Central Colorado AHAC, and I know Connie's on the call. So are there any updates from you all on Year 2 of the grant?
Well, this is Connie, and I wish I had an update on the carryover request approval. I was under the impression we would hear a couple weeks ago, and I still have not heard from the folks in D.C. So, and I did check again this week and have not gotten any new information. So I'm just hoping we'll hear soon, but that's, you know, that's where that is. And once we do hear, those of you that are affected, you know, be working with COA and AHEC and a couple other folks on things that are in that carryover request to try to get things moving as quickly as possible. And Lindsay Blackwelder will be working with her license holders to identify, you know, how many additional completers are realistic for the license holders that are already grantees to complete this next additional people, given that I was thinking we would have this in place by February and it's now March, so there's a little bit less time, obviously. So anyway, unfortunately I don't have an update on that other than we will, I will work with COA and AHEC as soon as I do hear what's going on.
Cool, thank you. Anything else we want to add at this point? I know we've got paperwork coming up, Connie, but I'll just move on.
No, I don't think so. I think we're okay.
Okay. Well, you get item number 5 too, Connie, which is the discussion of,
yeah,
of the The revised
dominating the
non-disclosure
agenda.
agreement. Well, this is you all. I know you can't read this real well, but I was trying to impress you all with the fact that I could put this into the PowerPoint. But this is the new forms, and you all got a copy of these attached to the reminder and the revised agenda for today. But I know Connie wants to talk with us about what it is and what it isn't, and so I'm turning it over to you, Connie.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes, you probably all remember that there was a request to clarify the language in these non-disclosure forms. The original language came directly from Administration on Aging and NCOA, kind of a standardized across the country language, and it just the last sentence of that original non-disclosure agreement referenced or said, I understand that unauthorized disclosure of any sensitive CDSME participant data may subject me to disciplinary and adverse administrative action. And people were asking about that. There was some, I guess, reaction to the language, but that's, that's HIPAA and privacy laws that are pretty firm and have consequences for failure to follow. So they are the language is firm, but the other question was who's responsible for this administrative and potential disciplinary action. And so I worked with our staff here within Department of Human Services, within the State Unit on Aging, as well as our HIPAA officer, and confirmed that the responsibility for monitoring and enforcing these requirements falls to COA and AHEC for their employees and their subcontractors. So any of the license holders that have MOUs with AHEC, AHEC would be the entity overseeing their work in compliance with HIPAA and the privacy laws, and same with COA. So we created 2 agreements, just adding at the end that who those responsible entities are. So where it ended before that this may subject me to disciplinary and adverse administrative action, now it goes on to say by either Central Colorado Area Health Education Center or Consortium on Older Adult Wellness. And that is a requirement through the contract that Department of Human Services has with each of them. So that's already was in place, but now it spells it out so everybody knows who is responsible for that. The Administration on Aging said that they did not anticipate having to be the watchdog on this, but of course, things can go up the chain if something really egregious happened, but I wouldn't anticipate that happening. So first line is that line of authority would be AHEC and COA. So I want to explain a little bit more about what happens next. Does anybody have any questions on this part right now? Okay, so a couple of questions were asked about this process. One was, does everybody who already signed it have to sign? Do the people who signed the original one have to sign a new one? And the answer is no, because it didn't change anything. It just clarified who's responsible for oversight. So what our HIPAA officers said we do need to do, though, is get these new forms out to the, from now on, they need to be used for going forward. The old ones should be destroyed, and these should be used instead for new people who come on and need to sign this. That's employees, that's instructors, anyone who's dealing with any kind of CDSMP client data. But for the people who signed the old ones, they need to get a copy of the revised ones, and AHEC already has a plan in place to do that, and COA will be doing the same kind of thing. So while everybody who's on the call and who opens Lindsay McIntosh's emails on the collaborative has access to these, we do need to make sure that the people who signed them get the revised form just as an FYI, and again, COA and AHEC will be handling that. So appreciate their help on that. And the other question that was asked is, do these need to be signed annually or just once? And I got confirmation from the Administration on Aging that it's a one-time deal, so we won't have to have people sign these on an annual basis.
May I just say yay to that, Connie?
You may, yes.
Yay.
Oh, and one other thing I forgot to, I'm sorry, did you say something else? I just talked over you, Lindsay. Just the last thing is that the changes were approved by the Administration on Aging, so we're good to go with this language.
So just to recap, in terms of our non-disclosure and our privacy training, two things have to happen. Everyone, whether they are a staff person, whether they're a leader or a master trainer, has to view that privacy training and then answer the quiz questions at the end and send those quiz questions into Lindsay at AHEC. And part two is everyone, staff, leaders, master trainers, needs to sign and submit back to the state this non-disclosure agreement. So if you have anybody that's working for you, training for you, teaching for you that has not signed one of these, and moving forward, you want them to use the new form. And then we have to let everybody who's already signed the form, let them know that this is the new version. They don't have to re-sign it, but we have to make sure they have their hands on one.
Yes.
Is that right? So get it.
Yes, and if you have volunteers that are working with any kind of client information, they would be required to sign this also as part of their participation in the program. I mean, volunteers who are assisting with anything within AHEC or COA or the licensed holder if they have any access to client data. And for COA and AHEC's sake, I think you know this already, but Flora has the list of people who have signed the forms already. So Flora, thank you for offering on a separate phone call to me or email with me that she could provide that list to you all if that would make it easier for you to get the new forms to the people who already signed the old form.
That would be, I think that would be really helpful. And I don't know if that would help Holly Wolf and Lindsay or not, but I know it would help from COA's side just to make sure we have everything covered we need to. So I'll take you up on that, Flora.
You know what, would it be possible for Flora to also put if it needs to go to AHEC or COA? Or when somebody gets a new form? Or new leaders?
Oh, and which form goes which place?
Right.
Do you mean who?
Okay, I'm sorry. This is Crystal from SecAHEC. So would I send mine to Central Colorado AHEC then rather than COA for any new leaders that we have? Okay.
If you have there might be some cases in which somebody has to sign both, but that would be if you have an MOU with Central Colorado AHEC, so your people who are working under that MOU would be signing the AHEC version. If any of those people subcontract with COA to provide like leader training or something or a class, then they would have to sign COAs as well because their work that they do for COA would be monitored by COA. But in general, people are working under, most people I think are working under both. I mean, I'm sorry, one or the other. Does that make sense?
You know, it does. I mean, I know that we have our own license, so I guess
so. Then you don't have to sign ours because you have your own license. So the only folks that have to sign COAs are the folks that are working under COA's license, and everybody else is being, the administrative oversight on this goes through AHEC.
And
Okay,
so
since we,
sorry.
no, that's okay.
Okay, Crystal, did you have a question?
No, I'll talk on the side, it's fine.
Okay. And somebody else had a question.
Oh, I was going to say, this is Holly Wolf, and Lindsay Blackwelder and I have been talking about not only do we have to review our own policy in terms of what that administrative action would be in case we have to make any changes, but once we're really going to make sure that everyone that would be under our new policy would know that we are the ones that will be kind of monitoring that. So we'll make sure we make contact.
Great, thank you, Holly.
I also just want to, from the fidelity point of view, since we were talking fidelity earlier, this is one of those things that's one of the pieces we can include in when we're doing fidelity visits. You know, we ask how it's going, we talk about how the class went, we build relationship with the folks that we're doing the fidelity observations on. But this is also a really good time for us to just review and make sure people understand how serious the issue of working with protected health information is. So, you know, I don't think we have to adjust any of the trainings or anything, but it's just a really good time to do that and to review that information, make sure they're comfortable with it. And since we are doing a fidelity visit once a year with all the leaders, then that's, you know, that gives us the chance to check in. I do have a question from Samantha. Since we don't work directly with or under either license, do we create our own for Tri-County Health Department? I think, Samantha, you can just sign, probably you want to sign the AHEC version.
So, Samantha, do you have an MOU with AHEC for the work that you do under the grant?
We are not participating in the grant.
Okay. Well, that is a good question then.
Technically, you don't really need one, but to be safe and consistent, I think you could. Were we happy to have you sign ours, or?
Well,
we're kind of.
I hadn't thought about this question, Samantha, and I don't know if. Can we put the pause on that question and let me just ask Administration on Aging if there's anything we're missing. If we, I don't know if they're saying this is only for people dealing with the grant or if it's anybody dealing with the Stanford program, which is, you know, a separate issue. I don't know the answer to that. Would that be all right if I check with them if for people who are not participating in the grant, you know, is the expectation that you're signing a non-disclosure form like the original one that didn't say who was going to be in charge?
Yeah, nope.
Or?
No problem. Take your time. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I hadn't thought about that issue. Thanks.
So, Connie, anything else on this item?
Not from me.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Connie before we move on? Okay. Item number 6, updates on statewide trainings. I think you heard Flora mention a few minutes ago that the Cortez training, April 7th through 11th, which is the chronic disease self-management and then a cross-training in diabetes, is still a go, and she's going to let us know when she knows more about available spots. That is very good news. Thank you. And then there's also the DTAC Lifestyle Coach Training, which is the diabetes prevention program, which I know a lot of you are involved with. and that one is March 10th and 11th. And Kelly, are there still places there, or is it full?
Can you repeat that one more time, spaces for the training, or I'm sorry?
Yeah, the Diabetes Prevention Program Coach Training.
Oh, yes, thank you. The March training is full.
Okay.
I just got that confirmation a couple days ago from DTAC. However, you know, as there's a need, as there's a want in the community, we'll just arrange more of these trainings. I mean, DTAC is, you know, ready to do these whenever. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then I think we mentioned we're going to be doing again the chronic disease program in June here in Lakewood, as well as our implementing evidence-based programs in patient-centered medical homes. And we will also have a diabetes cross-training at that point. And we just finished, we had a great Tamondo leader training. 11 folks went through that training and are raring to go with classes. What was really fun from our perspective was that we had folks at the training from several different license holders, and we had people that are going to be working metro area, south metro area, northeast part of the state, and so it was really exciting. And so thank you all for being involved with that, and that's really fun when we get to do that together. And I know Monica Monica Wolf, you've got a training tentatively scheduled based on approval of the carryover funding, right?
Yes, yes.
And that's going to be April.
Well, hopefully we're looking at probably in April, mid-April probably, but I don't have dates yet. I was just kind of waiting to hear from information on the carryover monies, but you know, we probably will go ahead and just set the date and then get reimbursed for that. If you know, if it looks like it's probably going to be a go. I know it's kind of a unknown, but I'll talk with Connie more about that.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely let everybody know that's coming, because that will be in Alamosa, and so that's a real good location for a lot of folks.
Yes, and Lindsay, I'll let you know for sure the dates.
Okay, great. And this is sort of a new area. This is item 7 on our agenda. This is a marketing spotlight area that came out of conversations we've had on previous calls around marketing suggestions. We had the NCOA presentation on marketing that Connie arranged for us. And so this is sort of a new area. And so Connie, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And yeah, I don't know if you all remember that we talked about this, but I thought we talked about just having an opportunity for people to, hopefully share some good strategies that they've tried recently, maybe something that came out of the webinar that Lindsay just mentioned, or something else that you've been doing that's working well, as well as an opportunity for people to share any challenges and just see if anybody else has any suggestions. So they're kind of putting everybody on the spot, but do any of you on the call have something that you could, that has worked well recently that you want to share with the rest of the folks on the call, that's something that someone else might be able to piggyback on? Don't make me call on you now.
Okay, this is Monica again.
Thanks, Monica.
Yeah, I was just reading, and I don't know, maybe somebody's already done this or not, but I was trying to figure out a way to do like a bulk mailing, because I know it's kind of expensive. But I know, and I don't know all the details, I'm sorry, but I know you can go in through the U.S. Postal Service online and do a bulk mailing through there and not have to go through the post office. And I know the cost is minimal. Like I said, I don't have all those details, and we're just going to try it out for the first time. But maybe, and my question is, I don't know if anybody's ever tried that or done that, where you just go in and you sign up for that, and then you tell them what area you want, and then they'll just go ahead and do that for a minimal, very minimal charge. And it's a lot cheaper than going to the post office themselves and handwriting or picking names to send to. So I guess that's my question to you guys, to see if you've done that before.
Monica, oops, I'm getting an echo, so I couldn't tell if it was me or someone else talking at the same time. Anyway,
oh, sorry, I was going to make a comment, Connie, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say we definitely have done bulk mailing. What we tend to do is bulk mailing usually means over 200 pieces. So even if you're not trying to get a specific geographic area, if you are doing a targeted market or a targeted mailing to people you've trained or people who've done things with you before or a certain part of town, that can be really effective. I think it's probably, my guess is it's probably more effective in smaller communities than in, say, a metro area like Denver. But we have had good success with that. I don't know about the online version, but you're right, doing it as a bulk mailing as a nonprofit is a whole lot less expensive than doing something the other way. Mm-hmm. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. And then also, you know, just to, and I can't remember if we talked about this through this webinar or not, but or for our monthly meetings, but just a reminder to use your pharmacists because that has really been a great success for us. We tried it 1 month and it just worked awesome, and so that's kind of our main area right now. Is to do that, and you just go and talk to the pharmacist and ask them if they'll attach brochures or a flyer or something to their prescription. And you know, the one that we started with was he had agreed to attach it to anyone that was picking up you know, something to do with diabetes. Could be insulin or syringes or whatever. He would attach it to those prescriptions.
So Monica, did you get, do you know if you got people into classes or inquiries based on those?
Yes, we have actually. Awesome. And we just held a class in Conejos County at the Conejos County Hospital, which is, you know, just south of us. And we had a really good turnout, and a lot of those were from that type of advertising.
That's great, and that's a great idea. It's probably easier to do in smaller communities. There's some real advantages to the smaller areas that are more community-oriented and maybe less controlled by their corporate entities. But that's great when you can get something like that going. That's a real third-party endorsement. That's really helpful. Thanks for sharing that again. I did have a question on your mailing. Were you asking for that you want to get help with like buying a direct mail list or doing the sorting and postage or both?
Well, no, I was just kind of asking if anybody had gone through the online U.S. Postmaster or Postal Service website and ever used that online where they could go in and they could set everything up themselves, so they're not using, you know, the postmaster's help. But you go in and you just target, like Lindsay said, you kind of go in and just kind of let them know what area you want to, like a zip code or that type of thing, and then you can set up your own bulk mailing information. I know there's a small charge. I don't know what it is, but I didn't know if anybody had used that. We're going to try that this next go-round, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I haven't used them for smaller mailing. I mean, usually the last time I did a bulk mailing, it was a huge one, and there are requirements for that I'm sure vary by geographic or number of pieces and that kind of thing. But you want to make sure that whatever sorting that needs to take place is done and all that. So it might, it just make sure that you're doing everything properly. I don't have experience using that online version. I did email in questions to on one of those sites when we were trying to do our mailing, and I never got a response. So I imagine that's not the case when you're purchasing things. That,
exactly.
When there's revenue to be generated, I'm sure you're going to get some assistance. But I was shocked that I just never got a response at all. But
well, once we try it, like I said, we're setting up a couple other classes, and so once we do that, I'll let you know how it worked and the details as to how to do it.
It might not hurt just to go to your local post office and make sure there's nothing you're going to miss, or see if they probably have some guidelines that and those may be online as well. But because some of the requirements are pretty specific, you want to just make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's crossed, and I would guess they'd be happy to give you some guidance that you could then still go online to do if that would save you money.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. Anybody else have some ideas or requests for assistance?
Connie, can I just make one more comment on the mailing? Cheryl Wakefield from our office just reminded me that for COA, it was the cost of the permit was to be able to do bulk mailing was cost prohibitive for us as a nonprofit to afford. So we work with a service that sends things out under their nonprofit license and helps with putting everything together and doing the bundling and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So so that might be a possibility too, especially for folks that are in larger metro areas.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because and this is Connie again, that's what I have done before, has always been relying on somebody else who knows how to do that. And printers often, if you're having something printed, I don't know if will you be having it, if you're having it printed outside, then you might just try to find somebody who can do that for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So like they put their own indicia on it. They do this. They have one section that does the printing, one section that does the direct mail, the bulk mail, and then you're relying on their expertise rather than having to create your own.
Because I know that I did look, and I think the cost for a nonprofit bulk mailing permit is like $200 a year, and I was looking for something a little bit less. But that, $200 a year, that's not too bad because we do a lot of classes. So,
well, maybe you could, if you don't mind, if you want to share what you come up with, what information you find next time or on an upcoming call, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks, Monica. Anybody else? Ideas, questions? Well, just keep it in mind so that hopefully we can make this little piece of the call something that would kind of stimulate ideas and discussion. And everybody has a lot of different experience and success stories to share as well. So I think hopefully we'll be able to make use of this to everybody's benefit as time goes on. Thank you. Great. Do you want me to just do the next item real quick, Lindsay, too, or?
Yes.
Or was it next?
Get it to, let me see, where are we? Okay. Yes, go for it, Connie.
Okay.
We're on agenda item number 8 for those of you who are This is classes for individuals who are employed.
Thanks, Lindsay. I mentioned a while back that I had done a presentation to our the supervisors of the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation counselors. So you probably all know who those folks are, but they're individuals that work with people who are trying to get employed or training or involved in the workforce in one way or another, or stay in the workforce. And I talked with them about CDSMP, and so occasionally I will get calls from someone who was given my name. And the people who have called, when I've looked on the website to see what classes they might fit into, there weren't any, when I looked, that would work for somebody who worked a regular, 9-to-5 type of job. And I just wondered if, if I'm going to be doing some more work with them and trying to get more referrals from them, would it be feasible to consider classes that would be in the evening or weekends? And I know for other people, older people who maybe retired or not work, that would be a less desirable time. But I wanted to mention that just because if I'm trying to recruit people from there and then, they end up not being able to sign up for anything, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So I just wanted to mention that and just see if anybody had any thoughts about, how feasible it is for you to offer some classes sometimes that would work for people who work a normal work schedule. Any comments or thoughts about that?
Connie, this is Susan, and we already offer, Susan Milligan.
Yes,
and we we already offer classes in the evening and then Saturday mornings. We've done that
great.
as well. And it's really targeting those people that are working, and that's worked pretty well.
Great. They, the times that I looked, I didn't see anything, but I know once your class starts, it won't show up there anymore.
After week 2, it doesn't show,
Yeah.
One of the things that we have on the website and that we've done some work with in terms of responding from the collaborative is that when we get emails or somebody's looking for a class at a particular time or a particular language, we get back in touch with them, let's try and problem solve about what we know that's coming up, and then we keep in touch with them if a class is coming in their area. So we are trying to work with that a little bit because I know, for example, we do classes frequently in physicians' offices, for example, after hours. So we have classes at night, but they're not as they're definitely, half of them are after hours as opposed to the other half that are during the day, and it really just depends on what kind of group we're working with. Are you thinking of any particular part of the state or any particular locations that you think it would be helpful to see more night classes, Connie?
Well, the people who had called me were from the metro area, just because half the people in Colorado are in the metro area, but so it's probably, would get more people in Denver metro area, but I'm sure in other areas too, but of course I know when you're in a smaller community you only have so many opportunities, resources to provide classes, and only so many people who can come, so I know it's tricky. I don't know if this might be a question to talk about, or I don't want to put COA on the spot, but I was wondering if there's anything to consider, like if somebody, I thought about this when you look at a site, you want something right now and nothing fits, and so you just don't ever go again, and you might not want to say, hey, I'd like a class in Aurora on Wednesday night because, you might think, well, they're not going to provide a class just because I asked for it anyway. I wonder if there's some way to say, click here to be notified of all upcoming classes, or something that wouldn't be a lot of work for COA to like track down, if somebody's, where somebody is, but to provide updated classes, or I don't know how much work that would be, Lindsay. It's just a thought, and we could, talk about it later if there's some way of doing that. But it's just sort of like signing up for a, mailing list, just so you whenever something new comes up, somebody would be notified rather than having to come back and look again. Because I'm thinking if something doesn't fit, probably, I don't know this, but I'm guessing people would just say, oh well, I'm not going to look again.
Well, I think if you look at the website, we do have under the map, there's a place they can view the map, view the schedule, and then there's a click button that says, if you don't see a class in your area, let us know. And
right.
we do get folks that come through that on a weekly basis. So both on this site and on our COA site. So I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but
well, no, I was aware of that. I was thinking of that's what I meant when I said, well, I might, people might not want to make a specific request, thinking that something isn't going to be added just for them. But if there were another option to just say, click here to be notified of upcoming classes.
Well, we also have a way for them to be added to the mailing list, and a way to contact us. And I don't think what we want to do is automatically capture those emails. That's something that other folks do that I don't think is probably where we want to go. But we do have a way for them to contact us, call us, email us, and then to click there and get an immediate email to us. So maybe we can talk about what else you think we ought to be doing. We could maybe do that offline.
Yeah, and that sounds good, because anything we can, ways to offer the opportunity for people to get, updates. And I definitely agree with not adding people to mailing lists, and with not doing it with a way to opt out of it later. But just would like to make them looking for how to make it as easy as possible for people who come to the website, who want a class but they don't see what they need right now, but want to, get information in the future. So yeah, maybe we can ponder that some more and touch base later. But that's all I had on that, is just to let people know that I, have gotten some calls, and there are people out there who are interested, and if I doing more outreach to the voc rehab people, then those requests will come about. So I'd like to have some way to offer something to them, and hopefully we'll be able to offer the online program as well. But a lot of people like the in-person option, so just something to keep in mind if you could.
Okay, thanks, Connie. We're going to go on to scheduling of the quarterly in-person meeting. We had talked about April 2014 if the funding had been approved. And Connie, do I understand that that we don't yet know, so we probably don't want to look at the April 2014 meeting as being an in-person meeting?
Well, the only thing would be if people if people can pay for their own travel. I included travel for the grantees for one meeting, so we could do that as a separate meeting and meet twice during this grant year. It's just I don't have anything from DC about approving travel, and I did want to also use that travel funding for discussion about sustainability and all that. So yeah, we wouldn't be ready to do that in April in either case. But if people can cover their own travel costs, and then we could come together twice, that would be even better if people have the time and resources to do that.
If everybody could speak up on this, I'd appreciate it, because my understanding was that we all as a group felt like, especially to come in for more than one, that we needed to make it something where travel was covered, to make it doable for the folks that were not in the metro area. And I know a couple of people have had to step off the call already, but you know, I'm happy to host a call or a meeting in April, but since we need to do sustainability pieces and since we know the grants cover travel, I'm wondering if we need to just put this on hold until we know. So would other folks weigh in, especially those of you on the western slope?
Hi, this is Sue, Grand Junction, and you know, I'd be willing to come over for it as long as it's more than just a couple of hours. I think that's the biggest issue for us, and we can certainly come up with some resources, some funds to come over for a day. So if we're waiting on the grant and we don't know if that's going to come in, we'd be willing to participate and cover the cost of that for one training or travel.
Thanks, Sue.
Yep.
Monica, how about from Alamosa?
Well, yeah, I feel the same way. I think that if we know ahead of time that that it's coming up, we can, you know, come up with some funds to do that also. For us, it's not as far, I don't think, but I mean, it's still 4 hours. But yeah, and I agree. You know, if we had more than just a couple hours, that would be, you know, well worth it. Plus, I'd like to meet everybody, and we know who we're talking to. I think that's really important.
I do too. Connie, so in terms of the sustainability piece, we're waiting for the grant to be able to look at that, or we don't have to wait on the grant?
Well, we would. It would be best to have we put in funding for a consultant. That actually was put in the grant for last year, and it's now as part of the carryover request because it didn't happen last year, so it's in the carryover request. So my goal would be to have a consultant on board before we started that part. I mean, I think it would be most helpful, and still working on the timing of that. So,
okay.
I don't know if there's some pieces of that we could do ahead of time, but that would be my preference. But there may be lots of other good reasons to meet as a group in addition to that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is we aren't able to schedule the sustainability facilitator or have the travel funding in place until we know for sure about the carryover, which we don't yet know. And we would need to work with the scheduling of the folks on the collaborative call as well as the scheduling of the facilitator. So I'm thinking we need to put off April till we know more details and have time to put it together. Because I know for the folks that are traveling in, and I know my April schedule is already a little intense. So I'm wondering maybe we ought to table this till we know for sure year 2 has been funded, or the carryover, I mean, has been funded and all like that. Is that workable for everybody?
Sure, that sounds fine. Well, maybe if we planned it maybe in the summertime, and then we don't have the weather issues also.
That's true. Does this have to be done by August?
Yeah. Right? Isn't it by August?
Well, it's a rolling target, it seems, but the carryover request budget was for things that I anticipated we would be able to do during this grant year, which, yes, would end August 31st. You know, there's a possibility of if we get approval for everything that I requested in the carryover. That would cover the license holder, grantee license holder travel to one meeting and the cost of a consultant. And if people can cover travel costs on their own for a second meeting, then we could have 2 meetings in person, one funded for the grantee license holders and one funded by everybody on their own, which might be helpful once we get the sustainability consultant on board. I don't exactly know how that's going to go, but that's a possibility if people want to do that and can afford to pay for travel to one of the meetings on their own. But the consultant won't be on, there's a process involved that I have to put in place to get someone established and on contract and all that, and that takes some time as well, so it's all kind of tricky. It's probably at least a couple months out for that part, for getting somebody on board.
Well, I'm going to suggest then that we table an in-person meeting for April.
I agree.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Connie, we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
I wish it were in a different place, but that's where we are, and we will work with the timing that we have.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and heaven knows we have a lot to do already between now and August. So
yes,
we will hopefully be able to add that to the mix. So we have about 10 minutes, and we have this space for additional agenda items. Our next meeting is for April 4th. We'll go from 9 to 10:30. And we'll do it as a webinar again, and this webinar will be up. But is there anything else anybody wants to add in about anything? Any questions? Katie, I don't know if you are still on the call, but I can give everybody just a real quick RICO update. 2 of the RICOs are in the process of looking at funding, which I believe comes through healthcare policy and finance, at least some pieces of this. And so we have had a few ongoing referrals, and we have one location, A.F. Williams, that we met through one of the RICO presentations that actually has a class scheduled for their practice, which is fantastic. And we are just kind of in the process of waiting for the referral piece to move ahead based on funding and the scheduling out of the RICOs that we've talked with. So that is where we are at this moment in time. I kind of feel like the teacher in Ferris Bueller that says, anyone? Anyone? So now's your chance, anybody who hasn't had anything to say yet.
Is it Monday?
It feels like a Monday, though, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
Okay,
hey, I
Katie,
do have a question.
Okay.
I have a question for Joni. Is she still on the call?
Yes, she is.
Joni Saunders?
Yes, that's me.
Yes, about the initiative to get leader update training.
Yes.
Stuff done.
And so it is a, guess a collaborative partnership between Arizona is kind of taking the lead, and the idea is to give an online refresher training for people who have not taught in a long time or need to reach cert and have not had a chance to teach. And so what they were hoping to do is collect information about what is going to be the important areas to cover when doing this online training. And so to collect that information, Dr. Lori wanted to send out a survey to see which of that information was going to be the most valuable.
So this is Arizona.
survey?
Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, California,
In Oregon?
and Oregon.
Do you know how long the training would be?
They're still working on that. At this point, it is very early in the process. I know that they're trying to make it so that it's as convenient as possible, and the most recent thing I've heard is that they were wanting to do it webinar style. However, they have not started on creating the curriculum or putting any of that in place. At this point, they're just trying to figure out what's the most valuable pieces of information to share.
Okay. Thank you.
Joni and
Yes, certainly.
Joni and some of the others on the calls have been shared what the individual license holders have been doing. As those of you on the call probably know that if you have people that haven't taught in a year or haven't taught in 6 months, depending on how you have your agreement set up, that rather than have them go back through the whole training, you can put in a policy to what we call re-engage and recertify them, especially if they have a class set and they're just, the timing is just a little off. It doesn't work for people who haven't taught in 4 years, but it does work for somebody who just hasn't been able to get a class set or something. So we've had a policy in place and a curriculum and a webinar, and some of the other states have too. And so the first step was just to exchange all that information to see who was doing what. And then Dr. Lorig and I think Sonia Alvarez too from Stanford, who's the Super T trainer, have been on the call too to help figure out, well, what do they want to do and how long should it be, and does it have to have a practice teaching component? And that's kind of where it is.
Okay, thank you.
It's very fun, though, to see not only collaborative within our state, but to be a part of a collaborative mission, with our neighbors to the west. So it's very fun. Anybody else? Anyone?
Melissa, I have a random question, and I'm sorry, I've kind of been on and off the call. I don't think this was covered, but so I just had somebody who recently attended the Tamando training, and since there's been an update on that, is there an easy way to get access to the charts so that I can get those printed?
The only way I do not know.
I can email them to
Oh, Cheryl says she can email them to you, Melissa.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate it.
And just so you know, we did an update training for, how many did we have at the day? 11, 12?
Yeah,
maybe
11.
13?
I think it was 11 in each class.
Okay, so we had 11 folks that were trained Tamando leaders that came back for the Stanford mandated update. So, and they were from all over as well, and so we did that last week too. And so they all have the new curriculum, and we're now training in the new curriculum, and it was a much easier update process than for all of us who co-lead in English. There's a lot more of us out there that were active, but that has been now done. That's what Melissa's referring to, is the new updated version and the updated chart. Okay, we are down to 2 minutes. So I think we could end early, just because we can. Thank you all for being on the call. If there are things you want to see on the next agenda or on the agenda for next time, send them over our way. If you have classes to list, send them our way. And anything else, send them our way. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and we will talk to you all in April. Thanks.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.